Chapter 8.2. This is about factoring polynomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c, or ax squared plus bx plus c. This is a quadratic expression. One is x squared, the second term is x, and the last term is a constant. So factoring means, this is a trinomial, so write the trinomial as a product. That is factoring. So let's do a distribution. This is a product of two binomials. So once we distribute this using FOIL method, this will be x squared minus 6x multiply these two, then 4x. Then the last terms will be minus 24. So this is equal to, combine the like terms, so minus 2x minus 24. So factoring means from this trinomial, x squared minus 2x minus 24, from this we will make it a product as this. So that is factoring. So there are methods for the factoring this trinomial. Okay, the method is this. So let me write this one again. Okay, for this section 8.2 and 8.3, we will use only one method to factor trinomial. Only one method. So this method will be different from the textbook. So keep in mind that the method is different from the textbook. So you can read the textbook and follow the textbook instructions, or you can try this method. Okay, so let me write this trinomial again so that we can factor this as a product of two binomials. First of all, make sure the trinomial is written in order. So the largest exponent term comes first. So x squared comes first, and then the second term will be x. The last one will be just a constant. So from this, we will find a pair of two factors for the first term and the last term. Okay, the first term is x squared. So x squared is always x times x. So write down x and x on the first column, so that we know that this product of these two factors is x squared. Okay, and then for the constant, the third term, okay, write down also a pair so that the product will be negative 24. So negative 24, there are many pairs so that the product will be negative 24. So one of them will be 4 and 6. Let's try 4 and 6 because, okay, let's try this one first. So 4 and 6 is 24. And then negative sign. So one of them has to be negative sign because the result has to be negative 24. So let me put the negative sign on 6. So 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. Actually, negative 24 can be a product of 1 times 24, either negative sign on 1 or negative 4, or 24 or 1. So you can put the negative sign on either side, or 2 times 12, or 12 times 2, or 3 times 8, or 8 times 3, or 4 times 6, or 6 times 4. So there are so many pairs so that the product is 24. And then since it's negative, you can put negative sign either one of the factors. So in this case, let's try 4 and negative 6. And the next step is cross multiply. Cross multiply. So x times 4, and write it to the next number. So x times 4 is 4x. And cross multiply this, so that will be negative 6x. And then once you cross multiply, write the sum of the result. The sum is 4x minus 6x is negative 2x. And then check if the sum is same as the term in the middle, then we are done. Actually, we are done. So negative 2x is same as the second term. So the binomials are the first line, the expression in the first line and the second line. So x, okay, 4 is positive for, so x plus 4 And the expression in the second line is, the binomial in the second line is x minus 6. So that's it. X plus 4 times x minus 6 is the product of this trinomial. So as you see this, this same as the original, x plus 4 and x minus 6. Okay, let me try a different example so that we will understand the method. Okay, here is a trinomial, and then make sure they are arranged in the right order. So the first term should have the largest exponent, so x squared, and then next one is x and 32. So the order is correct, and find the pair, the right pair for the first term and the last term. X squared is always x times x, and 32, there are many pairs, so that the product becomes 32. So one of them we can try 2 times 16. Okay, 2 times 16 is 32. 2 times 16, 32. So from this, let's do what? Cross multiply. Okay, cross multiply, then this is 2x. Cross multiply, then this will be 16x. The next step is what? Add the result, which is 18x. So once you add it, then make sure the result is same as what? The second term. This is same as the second term. So we're done. So the answer will be the product of the first line and the second line. Make sure the first line, not diagonally. The binomial should be the first line, x plus 2, times the second line, x plus 16. Don't make a diagonal. Okay, diagonal is different. The first line times the second line. The first line times the second line. So that's it. That's the result. Okay, for this problem number 1, the first term is x squared, the second is x, and then constant. So the first term is always x times x. 15 is 3 times 5. Okay, 3 times 5. And the product is 15. Product is 15. I'm sorry, the product is 15. And the result, sum of the result has to be negative. So is it still okay? I put both negative sign, because negative 3 times negative 5 is still 15. So we can make both negative because the product is still 15, positive 15. Then do cross multiply. Then this will be negative 3x. Cross multiply, then this will be negative 5x. The sum is negative 8x. Okay, we have negative 8x, and the second term is negative 8x. So our result is correct. Then the trinomial is a product of what? The expression, the binomial in the first line and the second line. So that will be x minus 3 times x minus 5. Okay. In this case, 15 is negative 3 times negative 5. What if you try 1 times 15? Okay, 1 times 15 will never work. So you have to find the right pair so that the product is same and the sum of the result will be the same as the second term. Okay, anyway, let's try more examples. Okay, example 2. X squared is always x times x. 16, this is negative 16. So 16 can be 4 times 4 or 2 times 8. So let's try this time something that does not work. So let's try 4 times 4. 4 times 4. And one of them has to be negative sign. So let's put the negative sign on here. Then the cross multiply is negative 4x. And this cross multiply is 4x. So once you add these two, this is 0x. 0x is 0. So we must have negative 6x, as you see in the second term. So this is not right. Right? So this is not the right pair. So why don't we try different pairs? So x squared is x times x. 16, negative 16 is, let's try 2 times 8. 2 times 8 is 16. But we must have negative 16. So put the negative sign where? Okay, this time let's put on the number 2. then negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. So the cross multiply is negative 2x. This is 8x. The sum is 6x. Okay, the result is 6x, but we must have negative 2x, negative 6x. The sign is different. So what we can do is switch the sign. So the negative sign should go on the number 8. So why don't we try this? So x times x is x squared. Okay, 2 times 8 is 16, but we gotta put the negative sign. So this time put the negative sign on 8. Then this will so the product of two numbers, 2 and negative 8. So 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And the cross multiply is 2x, cross multiply, then this is negative 8x. The sum is negative 6x. So finally, the sum of the result is negative 6x, which is same as the second term. So we found a match. So that will be the product of x plus 2 and x minus 8. The binomial, the expression of the binomial comes from the first line and the second line. So we tried some pairs that does not work. So since this one didn't work because the sign is different, so finally we have the right pair, so that we found the two binomials. So that these two binomials will be the answer. So product of these two binomials is the answer. Okay, let's keep trying more. Okay, the first term is always x times x, so that the product is x squared. The last term is a constant. Negative 18 is a product. We can try 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. We gotta put the negative sign. So, the result has to be positive 3. So why don't we, the result is positive. So if the negative sign goes on the smaller number, then the sum will be positive. So let's try this. So negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. And cross multiply is negative 3x. Cross multiply of these two is 6x. The sum is 3x. So the result is same as the second term. So this is equal to what? The first line times the second line. X minus 3 times x plus 6. Okay, let me repeat this. Okay, you have to multiply the binomial in the first line and the binomial in the second line. Okay, this one goes over here and this one goes over here. Always. Okay, when we do a factoring, we have to find the greatest common factor always. Before we do apply any method, always, if there is a common factor, the first step is to factor out the GCF. Always. So that once we factor a polynomial, each factor must be a prime. If a factor has another common factor, then we have to factor it out. Always. So make sure that each factor is a prime. So from this trinomial, there is a common factor, which is the GCF is 3, because 3 can divide all of them. So 3 is a common factor, and x is also a common factor because x occurs in all these three terms. So we can factor out 3x first. Always factor out what? The GCF, the common factor. So this is equal to 3x. So factor out 3x. Then the first term will be x squared. The second term is 3 times 5 is 15. X plus 18 is 3 times 6. And x went out. So we have this. Alright, so this is a product of 3x and a trinomial. So as you see this trinomial, is it factorable? X squared plus 5x plus 6? Well, we don't know because we haven't tried whether we can factor this. So let's try this trinomial if we can factor this. So using the method we just learned today. Okay, x squared is always what? X times x. And 6 is 2 times 3, 2 times 3, or it can be 1 times 6, but let's try 2 times 3. Then cross multiply, then this will be 2x. This cross multiply is 3x. The sum is 5x. So our result is 5x, and the 5x is the same as the term in the middle. So this 5x is same as the term in the middle, 5x. So we found the match. So this trinomial will become a product of these two binomials. So that will be 3x times x plus 2 times x plus 3. Check each factor, x plus 2, x plus 3, there's no common factor, so they are primes. So we are done. Okay, for this problem 3, okay, let's factor this trinomial. Always, the first step is what? Factor out the GCF. Always, before we apply any method. So the GCF will be, okay, 3 can divide all the numbers, so 3 is a common factor. And A is not a common factor because the third term does not have A as a factor. And B is a common factor, so take B out. So the greatest common factor is 3B. So let's factor out 3B. Then the trinomial is 3B times, put parenthesis. Okay, 3B went out. The first term will be A squared minus 3 times 6 is 18. So 18 is 3 times 6. And B went out, so A is the leftover. The minus 81 is 3 times, is it 8? Sorry, this is not, okay, 81. Then 81 is 3 times what? 27, right? 27. And B went out. Okay, so from this, we have a trinomial, a squared minus 6a minus 27. And from this trinomial, let's use our method whether we can factor this. So a squared is 8 times a, and 27 is 3 times 9. And then we gotta put the negative sign so that the product is negative 20 sign. So negative, but so negative can be either on 3 or 9, okay, 3 or 9, but the result has to be negative. The result has to be negative, so we gotta put the negative sign on the larger number. So that when you add, then the result will be the negative. So 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. Then do the cross multiply. So this will be 3a. And multiply this, then this will be negative 9a. Then the sum is negative 6a. Bingo! We found the match because the sum is negative 6a, which is same as the second term. So they are the product of the first line a plus 3 and the second line a minus 3, a minus 9. So this is equal to 3b times the trinomial is a product of two binomials, which is a plus 3, the first line, and a minus 9, the second line. Okay, example 4. Okay, this way is also a trinomial, but this trinomial is a little bit different. This trinomial has two variables, x and y. Okay, then we have to make sure if they are in the right order. Okay, the first term is x squared, the last term is y squared. Then if the second term is the combination of x and y, then this is in the right order. So this is okay. Alright, then the first term is x squared, so x squared is always x times x. And the last term is 20y squared. So 20 is 4 times 5, right? 4 times 5, so it will be 4y times 5y. Because there is a y squared term, the y squared, so y squared will be y times y, and then 20 is a product of 4 times 5. So 4y times 5y is 20y squared. And then do the cross multiply. Okay, actually 20 can be a product of 2 times 10, right? 2 times 10, but actually 2 times 10 does not work. So we can try 4 times 5. Then 4 times 5, then cross multiply is 4xy. and this cross multiply is 5xy, then the sum is 9xy. So since the sum 9xy is the same as the term in the middle, we found the match, and they are the product of, this is the product of x plus the first line and the binomial, which is the second line. Done. Okay, this problem 4. Okay, there are three terms, and there are two terms, two variables, x and y. The first one is x squared, the last one is y squared, the second is the combination of x, y. So this is true. This order is okay, fine. And before we apply any method, what do? Find the GCF. So it looks like there is a GCF. Usually if the number is large, then they must have a greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor will be the number. So 4 can divide all the numbers. So 4 is the common factor. And x is not, y is not. Okay, so let's factor out 4 from this trinomial. So this is equal to 4 times x squared minus 40 is 4 times 10, and 84 is 4 times 21 y squared. Okay, from this trinomial, let's find the match. So x squared is x times x, y squared is y times y, 21 is 3 times 7. 3 times 7 is 21, y squared, so y times y. And the result is negative. So we still okay, we put the both negative. Negative 3y times negative 7y is positive 20y. So we can put both negative, so that the product, always make sure that the product should be positive 21 y squared. Positive. So we can put both negative. Okay, then this is equal to negative 3xy. This product is negative 7xy. Then the sum is negative 10xy. So negative 10xy is same as the second term. So the result is the first line and the second line. So this is 4 times x minus 3y and x minus 7y. Done. So we will use this method for the next section as well. So please practice. There are so many exercises in the textbook. Do the homework so that you can utilize this method.